right, welcome back to today's Black Woman. I am so glad you joined us today because we have with us three very talented people from the cast of Sophisticated Ladies, a hit Broadway show. We have Miss Judith Jamison, Mr. Hinton Battle, and Miss Phyllis Hyman. What is Sophisticated Ladies all about?
Sophisticated Ladies is a grand celebration of the Duke, of his genius, of his music, and it's celebrated by a cast of 20 musicians and 16 singers and dancers. And you've seen it, and you know it's quite an extravaganza. And it's a big review. It has no storyline. It's just one marvelous number after another. Dance number, song number, and then finally a band number. Yeah. And with just a marvelous cast of people.
And also, to my delight, you have Mercer Ellington, Duke Ellington's son. Yeah. And my goodness, that just makes it just the best thing on Broadway, I think. Yeah. The top of the heap. Yeah. When the show first opened out of town, you know how it goes with the out-of-town openings, and the critics are on your back, and everybody's, you know, picking it apart and all that. How did you weather that storm?
You just sort of deal with it. I mean,
And what were some of the what were some of the real major problems that actually existed?
We had some serious ones.
Are you allowed to talk about it?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's not in my contract, and I'm gonna get my paycheck this week.
Okay, don't step on anybody's toes.
No toes, no names. We had problems of communication. I think we had problems with the producers, with the cast, with directors. So.
Just the direction of the show?
Yeah, direction of the show. We had a lot of miscommunication, so we got rid of the director. We kept Gregory Hines.
Right.
Producers and the cast got closer together, and we put together a show with a new director that we brought to Broadway and became a big smash.
Did the show ever begin to be, let's say, from its birth, more of a dialogue kind of show, or and then eventually it evolved into, okay, now forget all the dialogue and forget about, let's just stick with the music, because that's what the man was all about, his music and his style.
Well, at one point we did, a writer was brought in, Samuel Williams was brought in, to sort of piece together with the numbers that were there already, which was kind of hard to write a storyline to numbers that already exist, that never had a storyline. There was a lot of dialogue. It was almost too much dialogue. Finally, they decided to just get rid of all the dialogue.
We went through months or weeks of coming in one day, and Judy'd have this to do, and it would be out.
I mean, that's sort of...
In and out, in and out. And it was, me, this being my first show, it was like people wanted to know how it was, they said this was a show that was a little different than most. Most shows don't go through this type of thing.
Most musicals that I've done kind of it changes every day, script changes, dialogue changes, numbers change.
Unfortunately, this is one of the things that seems to plagiarize. It seems to haunt musical shows that are on their way to Broadway. I had the opportunity to be in one myself that didn't quite make it, but I still don't regret it. Yeah. It was a wonderful experience. Did you ever have a feeling at one time, was there ever a rumor going around the show's not going to make it to Broadway?
There were rumors going around, but I've always had faith in this show, despite its problems, simply because when I take giant steps, I like to know that it's going to happen. And I knew this was going to happen because I took a very big step. I opened my mouth on stage to sing for the first time in my life, and I knew this was going to work.
Voila! And I'm glad you did, because...
I knew it was going to work. Plus, we had a powerhouse cast, you know, Hines and Phyllis and Hinton and Greg Burge.
And that's what it's all about, a lot of talent.
I mean, just oogobs from the core to the band, just many, many people whose energies were positive and going in the right direction. And as I say, I knew in my heart that this was going to work because I got a refrigerator as soon as we moved into the theater.
We started
at the Lund Fontaine. Then the telephone,
plants, I mean, the
curtains, everything. We knew it was going to work.
New dishwasher, the whole bit, you know.
We got the whole thing.
All right. Considering the difficulties of keeping a production alive, what kind of advice would you give young aspiring performers who are trying to get into the Broadway scene?
Oh. just keep plugging. You really have to be determined, like with this show, just be determined that you can do it and you can make it work and you can make it happen for yourself.
Well, you, Hinton, both you and Judith, you're dancers. And I know that as opposed to singers, I mean, we take piano lessons and voice lessons and sometimes dance lessons, right, Phyllis? But dancers, it seems to me that their line of training is a little bit more diligent and, you know, like to the grindstone. Give us some advice on how you did it. And you too, Judith.
Go ahead, Hinton.
Well, I studied constantly. I used to take 3 and 4 classes a day.
How old were you?
I was 13.
3 or 4 classes a day.
Yeah.
Was each class about an hour and a half apiece?
Yeah, hour and a half.
Oh,
I
my
took
God.
ballet, I took jazz.
Where do you get the energy?
At that time, it was just there. I was always very energetic.
Well,
so
when
it
you're
just
young, you're energetic.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
He's so old now, he ain't got no energy at all.
Well, even when I was that age, I still didn't have that kind of energy. Because believe it or not, I wanted to be a dancer at one time, but, you know, no energy.
But I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Phyllis, the transition from being recording artist, nightclub performer, concert, stage, how did you make that transition onto the Broadway stage? Was it difficult?
Slow, girl. It was the hardest thing I ever did. It was real tough. When I was offered the role, I told my manager, I remember that I was at the little club around the corner, and I said, don't outprice me. I want this job. In other words, you know, in concerts, you and I both know, we're both from the same world, and the money in our concert performances is quite different than Broadway. It's a big jump in salary. So I knew I couldn't make as much money on Broadway, but I didn't take the job for that reason. And I didn't have anyone to really ask a lot of questions to about the rehearsal schedules and the time spent studying, and if they had told me that, I probably wouldn't have stayed. It's just the most grueling kind of work I've ever undertaken, and it was tough. It was real tough. But worth it, worth every minute of it.
I know. I am. Should I say I'm a victim?
Well,
I went through the same thing.
Yeah.
Hinton, in reading your bio, I see that just about all of your experience has been in the field of dance. Now that you have won a Tony Award, and I also read where you, as of February the 2nd, the mayor of Washington, D.C.
that was fun.
had proclaimed February the 2nd, 1981 as Hinton Battle Day.
In Washington, D.C.
In Washington, D.C. Do you have aspirations of doing anything else in the show business field, such as acting?
Oh, yeah. I'm
singing?
Yeah, I'm planning on doing a club act in the fall.
What about film?
Oh, yeah. All of it.
You can do
everywhere I can put my fingers, I'm going to.
You're going to do a club act in the fall.
Yeah.
What is it going to... Are you working with somebody now to stage the act, to...
working on getting a
special material?
Arrangements of material. Original material we're working on getting. A choreography, things like that. I don't know, a club act is just one facet of what I'd like to do. I mean, I'd eventually like to go on to television and to other bits of the industry, you know. But right now, that's what my project is.
Okay, Judith, why did you decide to leave the Alvin Ailey Company?
For the last 5 years, I'd say, I've been doing a lot of guesting. I've been guesting, going around dancing with different dance companies around the world. And I started doing it an awful lot in 1977, and very successfully. And I preferred the non-group arena. I like going places by myself and being treated like a queen. I love it, because that's the way people, when they experience your performance, they know what you do, and they really go out for you.
Audiences, single you out.
They're wonderful, taking care of you.
We're going to have to get back after a moment from hearing a word from our sponsor, because we do need to be sponsored here. Stay with us. Judith, we were talking about, just before we broke away, how you left the Alvin Ailey Company, or let's say why.
Right. I was talking about being treated as a queen, and it's very hard to get treated as a queen on a bus, traveling around the United States on planes. I mean, in a group situation, and we've got 30 dancers. And
It's hard to be a queen in exile.
There you go. And I've been doing it in the Alvin's company for 15 years, and I've learned something like 75 ballets. And I thought, it's okay, it's time to press on to the next thing. And the next thing was one of the producers of the show coming to my agent and saying, do you think she'd like to do a Broadway show? And as soon as they said Duke Ellington, I said yes. And that's how it happened. Boom.
All right.